What's the motherfucking deal, Sauce Nation? Yeah, y'all surprised that we actually got started, but within the first 30 seconds, y'all have to wait 3 or 4 minutes for the damn behind the scenes shit to get together. So I know y'all ain't ready for that, but it's all Gucci. But again, welcome to Sauce Sports. If you're not familiar with Sauce Sports is a Houston, Texas homer network. So that means we're going to be talking about all sports, but only Houston. And today especially, because y'all know I have my weaknesses in the soccer department and the Astros department and things like that. So we have a very special guest on with us. We got Hector Flores. How you feeling this evening, Hector?
I'm pretty good. I just had my coffee, so I feel fantastic.
Yeah, the late evening coffee? Okay. Alrighty, but so like I say, we're gonna dive into a couple of things, and as you guys know, Hector puts in a lot of work around town for some of the big teams or the winning teams that we've had in the more recent years. So you know those winning ways, you can send a shout out to Hector for that. But we're gonna talk a little bit of soccer. We're gonna talk some Astros today. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Rocks. I know we heard the bad news, but we'll have to deal with it. We'll keep on rolling. But y'all know how we start this thing off, man. First and foremost, there is no sauce without the freshest motherfucking ingredients, and the fresh ingredients are you. So we're going to start off with a Sauce Nation roll call. We're going to see who we got in here. And if you don't know how the roll call works, man, if you are from the city or the surrounding area of Houston, then, you shout out your side with pride. If you're not from the city, we still got love for you. We ain't going to hate on you, but you got to let us know we can send that love. And for everybody who is inquiring, the sauce line number is there, so if you want to text the sauce line throughout the show, I'll take your text, but the calls will not be opened up until the latter part of the show. So if you're not from the city, man, let us know where to send that love. So let us know your city, state, town, block, avenue, hood, street, circle, like I say, military ranking, gang, set, cul-de-sac, whatever, latitude, longitude, however you identify, man, however you get out, let us know so we can send a little bit of love that direction. And we're going to see who we got in here, and then we're going to get this party motherfucking me started. So let's see who we got live with us this evening. CCG Gaming, what's the motherfucking deal? Maybe that's a dude. I'm like, maybe I don't know how to say that. Fanboy Hype Beast, what's the motherfucking deal? 335 already going live. Heidi Kleindienst. They say first is the worst, second is the best, third is the one with the treasure chest, so we don't always be first. Hector, not only is he streaming with us, he's in the chat holding it down. Ferocious, what's the motherfucking deal? Good to see you always. Ed Man, why you beefing with the Astros, Ed, man? Stop. Homer, what's the motherfucking deal? Jason, what's the motherfucking deal? You know what I'm saying? I see Slum in the mix. I see Webster in the mix already. Voodoo Child, what's the motherfucking deal? Yes, Heidi, we will be talking a little football. You know what I'm saying? I see Lufkin in the motherfucking mix. North side already representing. Miss Voodoo C, you know what I'm saying? We have the best modding couple in all of the internet, and I appreciate the both of you for holding it down like POP. So yeah, we're going to talk about a couple of things, and like I said, we're going to dive right into it, man. We're going to get in it to win it. And the first thing we're going to discuss, like I said, because we never get to talk much Astros, let's talk about, let's start things off on a good note. Let's talk about the All-Star selection. So I see that we've had 5 Astros selected to the All-Star team, and that is Jose Altuve, Justin Verlander, Alex Bregman, George Springer, and Garrett Cole. Now, last year, I believe there were 6 Astros selected. So, who made it on this year's selection that didn't make it last year?
Alex Bregman, this is actually his first All-Star game appearance. And then Garrett Cole, this is his first appearance as an American League pitcher. Obviously, the last time he was in there, that was back when he was in the National League with the Pittsburgh Pirates. So, I mean, that's his first. And I think Verlander as well, but that time Verlander was still with Detroit. Okay. So he could have made it with Detroit. I don't remember where he was exactly.
Okay. So let me see here. Now, a very interesting question. Now, the Astros, we've been talking so much Rockets. I see y'all talking about Moute. Now, they're what is their current, like 61 or something? Is their record better right now than it was last year? About the same?
Have this. Actually, they were better last year, but they're the second best team in Major League Baseball right now.
Okay, so who's ahead of the Astros right now?
The Boston Red Sox.
Fuck the Red Sox. Oh, fuck everything Boston, not just the Red Sox, the Celtics, and anything else, the fucking New England, all them motherfuckers. Fuck fucking Boston.
The great fucking city of Boston.
Boston beans and all that other shit. So when exactly is the date of the All-Star game?
I think it's actually in 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks. I think on 2 weeks on Tuesday.
Okay, interesting. And if I'm not mistaken, Jose Altuve he was the number one vote getter in the AL.
Yeah, he had 4.84 million votes. So, I mean, that's that's pretty much saying not only did the Astros fans like voted for him because obviously you're allowed to vote up to 5 times a day. I think 35 times in total. Mm-hmm. So I mean that's a lot of Astros fans, but that's also just a lot of people that have so much respect for Altuve.
Okay. So why do you think Altuve gets that? I'm not sure if you know, but has any Astro received that many votes before, or is this like a record as for an Astros player? And why do you think Altuve gets all that love aside from being just an MVP?
He's definitely respected from his peers. I think for starters, I think for like a guy of his size to be able to do things that he does. I mean, the way he plays second base, and I mean the way he's such a great hitter. I mean, he's led the league in hits for like what is it now? Would possibly be 4 years now. So I mean, he's just a phenomenal player. He's a guy that everybody loves. He's the leader of the Astros, even though he's very young. He's the leader of this team, and I mean, I think that's what speaks volume a lot. It's just the respect that the whole baseball world has for him.
Okay, that's good. You got to command respect as the MVP. I want to jump to something a little bit more nationally here. And I got a couple of the questions we're going to come back to. Let me keep up with the minutes here. I want to talk a little bit about the World Cup. Now, I don't know shit about what's going on. The only knowledge I have of the World Cup is the team that wins is only if they have flashers. If there's no booby flashes, I'm not interested. So I know what are we down to the remaining 4 teams now? Yeah.
So the semifinal starts tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow and Wednesday. So they're going to do 1 game each day. It'll be at 10 in the morning, so it's a little bit more realistic for some people.
Okay. And so I see we have, France versus Belgium, and then we have Croatia and England. So if you don't mind, if you're familiar with some of those teams, let's talk France and Belgium first. Do you kind of have any insight on that game? Do you have a preference? Are you rooting for any particular team?
I mean, I don't know if you were familiar with all my videos that I've made so far for the World Cup, but my initial pick video was for France, and it's just because I like the depth and the youth in this team. But I mean, as I started looking at the roster, I didn't really feel it that well. So then I switched to Spain, but you know how great that worked out for me. And so, which sucks because this is like the first World Cup where I picked the wrong team. So it makes me feel slightly better about myself. But France versus Belgium is going to be probably the best game. And I think in some people's eyes as well, just like mine, I think this should have been the final. Because these are 2 really good teams, and these are also featuring 2 golden generations in their country's soccer. I mean, this is a young French team that has a lot of potential when you talk about guys like Antoine Griezmann, Paul Pogba, Mbappe, who's like only 18 years old, and he's already been a monster on the field so far. And then Belgium is just a team that just gets better and better every year. Obviously, last World Cup, they made it past the round of 16, and now they come here and they look even better. And they were, I think, arguably could be considered the best team in the World Cup. And they're also another golden generation. So this is gonna probably be one of the best games so far in this World Cup. And unfortunately, it's a semi-final game, not the final.
That kind of reminds me of the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awful. Okay. So, excuse me. So now let's take a look at the other game going on, Croatia and England. So how do you see that one panning out?
I mean, I like Croatia. I like everything that they've done. It has one player that I truly love in Luc Mbah. A lot of those guys, they grind it out. Like if you watch every single game, they beat Argentina like soundly 3-0. So there's just you're kind. I guess if you talk about the top 4 right now, I guess you would say Croatia is like the underdog in this group, and it just kind of sucks because they're going up against England, who's extremely fast, extremely athletic. This is probably the best English team I've seen in a long time, and that's even talking about teams that had David Beckham in them. And you can kind of see the fatigue hitting with Croatia, because I mean, competing in the World Cup, it takes a lot on your body. You don't really get that much resting period, and so like, you're running for 90 minutes straight, and then for Croatia's situation, they had to go to penalties twice, so they played 120 minutes twice and then went to penalties. So it's gonna be taking a lot for them to keep up with this fast English team. So I think England ends up beating Croatia, and which is crazy because we haven't seen England gone this far in years. And there's that whole chant of bringing it back home, because I don't know if people know that, but soccer did start in England, or at least people think that's where it all started. No one really knows where it really started, but they are all talking about that, finally coming home.
Okay. I see Heidi is in the chat disagreeing with you, saying the 98-2002 England team was way better. Well, we don't listen to Heidi. She don't know what she's talking about. She don't know nothing about sports. She's a woman. No, I'm just messing with you, Heidi. It's all love. So I have a question while we stick on the World Cup topic. And again, like I say, I'm not in depth. I have absolutely no knowledge of what's shaking with soccer. Well, other than the small highlight of reading that Heidi sent me. And I still appreciate that. But what is the issue? We're going to bring it back home here to America. What is the issue with the men's soccer team? Why? And I don't want to say they haven't had success, because I'm sure they've made it, a couple times, but they haven't won a World Cup, have they? If I'm not mistaken.
They haven't.
Okay. And so what do you see that being? Why is it because I want to say the lack of popularity here in America? What is it that you think that keeps the Americans from winning or having a chance to really seriously compete in a World Cup?
I wouldn't say there's a lack of popularity, because I think because this is the U.S., this is the melting pot. You have people from different parts of the world that live here. So I mean, there's a lot of people that do play soccer. It's just the thing is the U.S. Soccer Federation is horrific at developing youth talent. Some of the talent that the young talent that come from the U.S. that we're talking about, like Christian Pulisic or Timothy Wee or McKinney, are all guys that were discovered from teams in Europe. And the other thing that really holds back U.S. soccer is pay to play. It is the most ridiculous thing, because it takes a lot of demographics off of it, because it is extremely expensive to play for a soccer academy. And that's considering the Dynamo Academy and all other academies. There is just a horrific way to find true gems, and there's no... Because, I mean, the thing is with the NBA and the NFL, I mean, there's those guys that come from, these poor areas that end up making a name for themselves, because they're trying to find their way out. There's no finding your way out in soccer, because, yeah, there's college soccer teams, but there's not a lot of them. And so, as far as you getting a scholarship somewhere, it's just really, it just makes it even slimmer. And then academies is expensive. So, I mean, it's just hard. And then, it's not the chances of you getting found by a top tier European country or anyone is just really harder for them to be discovered. And then we're stuck with being eliminated from the World Cup by Trinidad and Tobago. From inside what pretty much looked like a high school football stadium, and it was embarrassing, because all the U.S. needed to do was tie against Trinidad and Tobago, and they would have gone to the World Cup. But unfortunately, they didn't. And I mean, I think this was a wake-up call. It was needed for the U.S. to understand that, because the thing is, like, the U.S. dominates in everything. If we talk about Olympics and all sports, I mean, our leagues here in the U.S. are like the standard. For everybody wants to play in the NBA. Everybody wants to play in Major League Baseball. But soccer is a joke here, and it's because we don't do enough to develop the league. And the U.S. Soccer Federation has a lot of money and could invest it into the MLS to make the MLS better. But instead of that, they decide to do other things with it, and I think it's just unfortunate.
Okay. So I got a question. I got actually a couple of questions around that, because actually you've enlightened me to a couple of things. So in your mind, what do you think would be the best resolution to the situation revolving like these expensive academies? Like, what kind of suggestion would you have to maybe try to circumvent those type of situations? U.S.
soccer needs to get involved with the MLS. The thing is, the MLS, it's its own entity. and there is no promotion relegation, and the league is just like the league is played like a regular league here in the U.S. where if you're the bottom team, you get a first round, a number 1 pick. Like there's no in soccer, like a lot of the times there's supposed to be a consequence with being terrible, and that is getting relegated to a second division. And there's more of, I mean, granted, you do lose money in ticket sales because of all this stuff, but you also got to remember that in other countries, soccer is, that's your home team. There's more pride in the soccer teams around the world. You can have one, like I met a guy in England, from back in my time in the military, who was this fan of Portsmouth, who plays in the 4th division in soccer in England, and he's a diehard fan. He doesn't go for any other team. He actually made fun of me for being an Arsenal fan, and I'm like, at least my team's in the 1st division.
That's crazy.
But there's more of a pride, I think, in other countries. And I mean, if the MLS really wanted to get better, because the thing is, the MLS doesn't do anything for the U.S. As far as the U.S. national team. They actually have made Panama better. They've made Honduras better. They've made teams in Central America better for getting their talents into the MLS, but they don't do anything about the youth talent. They don't try to develop the youth academies, and it just makes things so terrible. And then also the whole retirement league thing, where they bring in these old washed up players, and just because they want to get ticket sales.
Okay. So you mentioned also that all the U.S. men had to do was tie with Trinidad and Tobago, and they failed to do that. Even if they would have accomplished such a great feat, what do you think their chances would have been had they, been in the World Cup?
I mean, if that was the case, they would have been in the group that Panama was in, because obviously that was the team that took the 3rd place spot for FIFA qualification, and we would have been in a group with Belgium, England, and Tunisia, and obviously Belgium and England are in the top 4. So I don't think we would have been good, just because of the fact that at the time we had Bruce Arena as the coach, and he's very committed to his MLS veterans. So we probably would have seen Clint Dempsey in there, who's ridiculously old now to be playing in international play. And so I think there would have it would have just had the U.S. It would have just let the U.S. think that it's okay to do what they're doing right now, and just be like, okay, well, at least we made it to the World Cup, and they will continue to keep doing what they're doing instead of trying to change U.S. soccer to better itself. And I mean, we've already seen signs of U.S. soccer getting better when they called up a team of guys that are all the young players, exciting young players were getting called up, and they ended up tying with France 1-1. So I mean, that just shows, like, if you do it right, you can make a competitive team. And I think U.S. not making the World Cup was the best thing to happen for the U.S.
Okay. Well, good deal. Yeah, sometimes it takes a little bit of a step back to take a few steps forward. You talk about the MLS, and so I want to kind of talk about, the local team, the Dynamo. Now, it's not the World Cup, but I see that they're participating in what's called the Open Cup. And they just got a victory over, and you had sent it through the chat, actually, over Minnesota. What was that, on Saturday? And
that was MLS play, but they did play against Minnesota United. I think it was like last month that they did it. They eliminated them, so now I think they are now in the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup. It's just an Open Cup. The one thing about the U.S. Open Cup, it's open to all teams in the U.S. So not only is it MLS, but it's also the U.S. soccer, the U.S. League, the United Soccer League, I think it's called, the USL, the North American Soccer League, and then even some other amateur sides can actually go into this tournament. So it opens up opportunities for players. But I mean, at the end, you still see the MLS teams. I mean, you see it everywhere else in the world. Like, if you want a comparison, it's like in England where they have the FA Cup, which is open to all leagues. So there is a chance that a 4th division team can go in and upset against a team that's in the English Premier League.
Okay. So speaking about the Dynamo, so what they're doing actually with that is, so there's actually, the Cup is continuing, but they're playing their actual MLS games in between the Open Cup games.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty common in soccer. to have it like that. It's just it's a way for you to now it tests your depth in your team, and it also allows your youth academy to at least play, especially when you go up against these like lesser teams. You can put them up like the Dynamo went up against an amateur team from Dallas, and they put in pretty much all their reserve players in there, and they still got the win. So it provides a good chance for the youth players to actually go out there and get some experience and get them some playing time. So the U.S. Open Cup is a very important thing for as far as youth development goes.
Okay, very interesting. Now, speaking about the Dynamo, I saw that, and I guess this is a guy I think we spoke on a little bit last time that we had a chance to kind of cover some wider topics. Tyler Deric has been reinstated, but has been loaned to the Rio Grande Valley, is that a football club?
Yeah, that's that kind of like the minor league team for the Dynamo. So they have like a deal going on where they can send their players down there, and they can also bring them back whenever. So that's actually some of the players that were brought in to participate as well with the U.S. Open Cup.
Okay. So what is the situation you see happening with him long term? I know he kind of had some charges, some domestic issues, and I know he ended up getting probation. They said he's missed 19 games so far, so they felt like it was long enough, and so they brought him back in. Reinstated him. Do you see him ending back up with the Dynamo, or is he going to spend a significant amount of time with Rio Grande Valley, or how do you see that all playing out?
Well, I mean, he's been suspended for a while, so this is just to get him back in form. It is the USL, so this is a little bit of a lesser league that he can get kind of a better rhythm, get his command back. And I mean, Tyler Deric is one of the better goalkeepers that the Dynamo has had. So I mean, if we get a chance to bring him in, it'll be great. If not, I mean, I'm not really concerned about Tyler Deric. I think Joe Willis and Chris Seitz have done a great job as goalkeepers. And then there's also Nelson, the guy that they drafted from this past MLS draft, who has a lot of potential, and I think to me, should be the goalkeeper of the future.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna briefly talk on a little bit of Rockets talk, and we took a L today. We took a L, as in Luke. As an L for Luke, yes. We're doing the Sesame Street thing today. But Luke was a guy that I felt would kind of bridge that gap. Actually, I felt might have been maybe a better defender, if not on par with Trevor Ariza. That was kind of the reason I wasn't so worried about losing Ariza, because we'll get Luc Mbah Moute. He's not going to ask for too much. The Rockets are going to go ahead and take care of that. But he's left and gone back to the Clippers. How do you what kind of effect do you see that having on the Rockets? Do you feel like they're still going to be able to make some moves to possibly replace what Luke brought to the team, or do you think that was as big of a blow as some of the other fans are believing?
I mean, whenever you have a chance to have a player that actually is good at defense, you want it. I mean, you still have PJ Tucker, but I mean, this does make you feel like now we kind of need to make a bigger. I don't know why I said we, but kind of the Rockets need to make a bigger push on Carmelo Anthony now. At least that's how I see it, because I mean, even though I don't think he's defensively as good as Lou, but he's got length, so I mean, I'll take that. But I mean, yeah, you definitely you kind of start thinking that you need to start making a move for somebody. And if anything, I mean, I still would say bring Clint Capella back, but who knows where this is all going to.
Yeah, and the Capella situation is real interesting to me, because they keep saying they're going to match any offer, and I know I hear a lot of opinions on what's going to happen with that. I honestly feel like they're really playing like a dangerous game with Clint Capella right now. I'm not saying that he's a world beater, and maybe they don't feel as highly about him as we do, or maybe they feel like, well, we got the rights to him and he's a restricted free agent, so we'll be willing to match whatever anyone else is willing to put up. But we haven't seen a lot of outside attention for Capella. Do you think there's any particular reason behind it? Do you think the rest of the league kind of sees him more as a product, of the production of Chris Paul and James Harden, or do you feel like there may be an alternative reason as to why that Capella's not getting that love?
I mean, the only team that was really interested in him was Phoenix, and I haven't heard anything about that since. So I don't think a lot of people were as high on Clint Capella. I think he could be a good piece for anybody, but I think maybe because of the fact that he had a breakout year with CP3, and I mean, if you really think about it, a lot of his points came from passes from CP3. So I mean, Capella has his value, but I just don't think he's not the top center right now. That's on the free agency.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I do. Once you kind of go back and look at it, you do see a lot of, again, him benefiting from the lobs and the pick and roll, things like that. But then because there's plenty of occasions where he had some chances, with the ball in his hands, he kind of fumbled on some easy layups, as you would call them, easy points, easy baskets. Sometimes he would kind of whiff a little bit, and I wonder if that's something that kind of stuck out to some others. And then again, with the Rockets feeling like they'll match whoever, I just kind of feel like they just kind of got him on the back burner. They're not worried about it. Now I've heard the rumors that they were at the summer league yesterday, and you mentioned Carmelo, and that they spent most of the first half with Carmelo's business manager. So I'm wondering, if that's a foreboding sign that there's some mutual interest between both parties. For some reason, because I don't see Carmelo as a, even though, like I said it before, if he did come here, would kind of be doing that, but I don't see him as like a bandwagon. Like I don't see him as I want to go to Golden State kind of guy. I see him as a guy who'll stand with the opposite, because he's almost kind of been the man his whole career. He's kind of done his own thing for the majority of his career. And he's had some good teammates along the way, but as far as just really joining up with other superstars and things like that, that hasn't really been a thing. But at this point in your career, you're getting older. You only got a couple of years left in you. I think that it would be very wise of him to consider joining the Rockets. But what do you think about that? Do you think that that's a sign? Do you think it's just a same place, same time? We're just kind of discussing some possibilities, or do you really see that there being a good chance of the Rockets landing Carmelo?
I mean, from the people that are interested in him, I think Houston's probably like the most ideal spot for him to pursue a championship. I think at this point in his career, at least the way I see with players, there's either the guy that's like chasing the check, or at this point in their career is chasing a ring. And I think Melo's got his money. Yeah. I think that's not the biggest concern, but I mean, you spent your whole career in the NBA, and you've been with the Nuggets, you've been with the Knicks, and now you've been with OKC, which fell horribly against Utah. And so now you're looking. I mean, what's his best shot at winning a ring? I don't think it's OKC. And the Lakers, I mean, it's appealing. I mean, you got LeBron there. But other than that, it's not really much else. I mean, much else to like see that you can get a championship this year. So I think your best bet is Houston.
Okay. Now that's interesting. Let's speak on that, because I know that there are a couple of Lakers fans in the chat. I know Jay Dizzle, I believe, is a Lakers fan. I think there's one or two others who may be Texas.
There's also
fans.
One here.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna refer to you since we have a live Laker fan on the stream. So I'll allow it, even though it's tomfoolery and shenanigans. But I don't want to hear it. But honestly, how do you feel as a Laker fan about the LeBron move, and what do you see happening if not this year and the span of his company? He signed 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. What do you see happening with the Lakers, with the future of the Lakers with LeBron James?
I think they'll at least make the playoffs. I don't think it's going to be a high seed, but I think they'll make the playoffs. I'm still waiting for at least one good signing, not just any signing, a good signing. I mean, I would have liked the Rondo signing if it was like maybe 5 years ago. But you know what? This kind of feels like the Knicks like a few years ago. Like I was like, man, if this was like 5 years, when they had like D Rose and I forgot who all they brought. I think Joakim Noah. And I was looking at it, I was like, man, if this was like a few years ago, I'd probably like the Knicks. But I mean, the Lakers, I think they still have a few things missing. Yeah, you have that young core. But they still need time to develop. And I think maybe 1 year with the first year with LeBron is just going to be kind of like learning as it goes. And I think the second year there'll be a little bit more continuity. There'll be a little bit more of a better style of play from them. I think the young core at that point will have better knowledge, and then maybe they'll bring in one more piece. I don't know who, and maybe they'll make maybe the second year they'll probably make a better run for a championship.
Okay. So do you honestly see within the 4 years that LeBron has signed with the Lakers, is he going to bring a championship to LA?
I sure fucking hope so. Because if not, then what was the point of signing him? Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think he can get a championship, I think this is either LeBron's way of transitioning to his retirement in LA, because I think that's the big thing that he's trying to do. I think he has like 2 houses in LA, which makes no sense to me. Because I mean, LA is expensive. I wouldn't want one house is enough, I think. But I you know, a lot of the move doesn't. Some of it doesn't make sense, but the other of it kind of does. I think this is, I guess, another way to define his legacy. I think he's gonna go down as one of the greats. I don't think anyone could take that away from him. But I mean, you know, he doesn't have the 6 championships, so he ain't chasing Jordan anymore. Yeah. Or if he is, then he's ridiculous. But I think, you know, a way for him to build something else. I mean, there hasn't been a guy to win, I guess, 3 championships with 3 different teams, or at least take. I think that's the better wording. Take 3 teams to championships. Because I think, you know, I think there's probably some guy that's been a part of 3 teams and won. Like, actually, Robert Horry probably did it.
Yeah, Orby, the big shot.
But I mean, but I think take a team. Because I think LeBron definitely took the Cleveland Cavaliers to a championship, and then I think he definitely took the Miami Heat to a championship. Because we saw how that team turned out after he left. But I think that's the other thing I worry about. I think when LeBron does leave, how does LA stay? Because I mean, from the trend that he is, as soon as he leaves the team, they go back to mediocrity. So that's probably like the one thing I'm concerned.
Give me 1 second here, y'all. I apologize. Like I had everything going but the bank. Thought I was perfect for the start of the show. I guess I was a little bit. It's always something gonna fuck up. Goddamn, can't please everybody. Goddamn it. Here, and I'll show y'all some. I'll sauce y'all up some love for that. So, give me 1 second. Here we go. And then we'll get a little raffle action going. So you said, you know, about LA falling back into mediocrity after LeBron. I have a question. How do you honestly feel LeBron and Lance Stevenson are going to get along? Because Lance has been notorious as the LeBron pest more so. I wouldn't say the LeBron stopper. I don't think there's a real LeBron stopper. But how do you think that relationship is going to work out?
I will say this, because I mean, you can I know people have been like praising Magic Johnson for making this move happen, but I think when it comes to LeBron, it's his terms, you know. So I feel like there had to have been at least like Magic asking who exactly did he want him to bring, and if he said Lance Stevenson, then I don't think there's gonna be any real concern. It'll be interesting watching those two and play together, but I think it's gonna turn out better than what some people think it'll be. Surprisingly, I don't think it's gonna be like amazing basketball, but I think it's definitely gonna be a little bit better. And if not, then we're gonna get some great memes out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. At the very least, the internet will give you some good memes. I want to jump back to the Rockets for just a second. I see a lot of chat. I see a lot of folks talking about what's going on with the Rockets and the fact that we're strapped with the Chris Paul play. How do you feel about that Chris Paul contract? Do you feel like that was the move to make, paying him so much, with him basically being the highest paid guy in the league, I believe, right now, or having the most expensive contract in the league? And do you think that was the right move for the Rockets to make? I know you have a little bit of inside knowledge on some things, and how do you feel like that was perceived around the organization?
He does not deserve that money. I mean, for one, you're on the wrong side of 30. You're on the wrong side of 30, bro. And And also, I mean, his injuries have just like I feel. I don't know. I don't think it was worth it. I feel like he should at least take something less. At least help the Rockets out with. Even though like we've heard Tillman say that he doesn't care about going over the cap and he'll pay the luxury tax and all that. I mean, at the same time, man, like you kind of like you see that, and I feel like maybe in Capella's head, like, all right, well, you're paying this guy this much, and he didn't even play a full season. And then you got Capella over here. I feel like he played almost every game. It felt like at least. And if he did, it probably wasn't that many games he missed.
Yeah,
and I mean,
too, if it was something like that, if any.
But yeah, so I mean, the guy played more than Chris Paul, and I mean, so I mean, at that point, it's like, shoot, should we just give him the max if we're gonna give Chris Paul the max?
Yeah. Okay. And another thing, so I'm not sure if you've been catching some of the summer league games, or if you've been watching any of those, or if you had a chance to kind of keep up with some of the younger Rockets and some of the summer league players. And I've heard a lot of talk around some of those guys. Is there anybody in the summer league or any of the younger guys that the Rockets have acquired that catch your attention?
Well, I mean, I haven't really been keeping it up, but I think the one guy that caught my attention, and the only reason why I would say that is because he was part of U of H, and I got to watch a lot of the U of H games because they were playing at Texas Southern, and that's Gray. I think that's his name.
Yeah, Rob Gray.
Yeah, Rob Gray. So I mean, I thought he was an amazing player. I think he has like some off-court issues, but as far as that goes, I mean, I still thought he was at least somebody worthwhile watching, and at least someone worth to put in the work to develop. And I think he'll be a great player. Well, not great, at least like a good player for someone to come off the bench.
Okay, that's very interesting. I've heard a lot of people talk about him, the Clark kid. I don't think the Clark kid has had too much PT. I've heard a few people talking about Melton, saying that he needs a shot. I know the Trayvon.
Oh, I do like Melton, just because he's a USC guy.
Oh, okay. Cali ties.
Yeah.
Okay, I ain't mad at that. Xochi, how do you feel about Xochi?
He's fun. he's a fun dude.
What made you say that about that he's a fun guy?
They parked him because each player has a parking spot over at Toyota Center, and he has the furthest parking spot out of all the players. And I always think it's funny just watching him like walking from the parking lot, and I'm just like, damn, dude, they hoed you.
Yeah, that's fucked up, man. You already look. That's a lot of wear and tear on each one of those steps, man. You gotta take care of that man. Oh,
I mean, he's too big for a card, so
no,
can't really help him there.
That's awful. Yeah, that is bad. Damn, I didn't even think about that. All right, so like I said, I wanna bounce back and just talk about the Rockets not the Rockets, damn Astros for just a second, and then we're gonna open up a couple of calls on the Sauce line again. Shout out to Chandler because I see text and he says a lot of fans are panicking that we lost a reason. Muthaf, yeah, like I say, there's no reason to panic. I mean, there is reason to panic, but I mean, we're not all the way out of commission yet. Look, we can find reasons to justify not to. Well, fuck Luc. He got broken shoulders anyway. But I'm not gonna do Luc like that. I thought Luc overplayed, his value or his contract when he came, because he only got like 1.5 or something like that when he came here, and I think he exceeded that with his performance. So I don't know if they were trying to lowball him or what. I thought that he was going to stick around because he was doing a lot of stuff here in the city of Houston. He had like a Afro Week thing where he was introducing a lot of Cameroon culture and just a lot of stuff. And so I thought he was going to stick around, but unfortunately, they were able to get him back. And I'm sure, money talks, bullshit walks 1,000 miles. With the Astros right now, are there any concerns going into the All-Star game or after the All-Star break that you have with this team, or anything that people who may not be as familiar, maybe who may be more casual baseball fans, is there something that we should watch and really pay attention to closely with this Astros team?
The one thing that I kind of have an issue with the Astros team so far this year is that we need a left-handed relief pitcher and a closer. I mean, Hector Rondon has stepped up now to be kind of taking that closer role, and then every now and then you see Ken Giles, and I mean he's not doing terrible of a job, but I would love a solidified closer. And then I always like to have, you always need to have at least a lefty coming out of your bullpen. It's just good strategy, and I think we just need a left-handed pitcher, and I think one of the pitchers that comes to my head that I would definitely like would be Brett Hand from San Diego, just because he's phenomenal, and I think right now the way I look at it, you always go trade with a team that's not doing anything with their season, and so the Padres obviously they're in a really tough division, and they're still not doing well, and definitely if we can throw in somebody to get Brett Hand, I would definitely be all about it.
Okay. Got a question. I know the kid, the big prospect. I know a lot of folks were talking about.
Tucker. Kyle the Tucker.
Tucker. Okay. Yeah.
That's what we call the grounds crew. We called his brother Preston. We called him the Tuck Fuck, and so we decided to call him as well the Tuck Fuck. Keep it going, the family name thing.
Okay. Look, you got to establish a family legacy. Oh man. So how's he looking, and what is his ceiling?
He's definitely ways ahead of his brother. I think he's a lot better than his brother. His brother had a great, pretty clutch bat. As far as everything else, he wasn't that consistent, and his fielding was a little suspect. But Kyle Tucker, everything he does it just seems phenomenal. The way he plays in the outfield, he has a very solid bat, very consistent hitter. I think he has a very good career ahead of him. He did play yesterday against the White Sox. He got his first ever hit yesterday. So I mean, I think there's the sky's the limit to him. It's just another showing of like how great these prospects the Houston Astros have done. When we talk about like Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman, all of them have worked out very beautifully, and I think we're in it for a good number of years for the Astros, with especially when you look at some of their youth prospects.
Okay. And I want to say what Keuchel just recently pulled out of win. I know a lot of people were talking negatively about Keuchel early on in the year, saying he kind of wasn't looking like himself. How do you see that situation playing out? And do you see some improvement from him, or is it going to kind of still be maybe a down year for him?
He's getting better. He's starting to win some games, so that's great for him. It's not that he was doing a horrific job. It was just sometimes your pitches aren't going to be you just have those off days, and I mean that did look like how it was going for him. But his pitches were pretty good. They were pretty on point. It was just now finally it's kind of flowing a little bit better for him. It's a little bit smoother, and I think that's what you want to see as a pitcher. And I think Keuchel's okay where he's at now, because he's pretty much now at like the 5th spot in the pitching rotation. I think Gerrit Cole has earned the right to be the number 2 pitcher. I mean, all these guys have done a tremendous job, and I think even though Keuchel has been struggling, the Astros have still found ways to win games. So, I mean, at least he knows that the losses aren't going to be that affected to the team, and I think Keuchel will still be fine. Yeah, I would like to see a possible trading Keuchel, but I don't think there's going to be any teams that will really jump at him. But I mean, at the end, this is his last year of his contract. So I mean, if we don't keep him, then it's fine. If not, I mean, he was one of those guys that I thought that it wouldn't have shocked me if he left. So.
Okay. I see Voodoo talking about after he finally showed naked ass in the body issue, he's starting to get his swag back. He must have got a lot of compliments or something for that, so he's feeling himself again. I see Voodoo also in the hit the text line, say 1 month until the first preseason game. Now that's good. I can definitely look forward to that. Because as enjoyable as everything else is in America, football is king, and can't wait. Until that happens. So this is what we're going to do, man. We're going to open up the got enough confidence from Heidi. We're going to open up the sauce line, man. Again, the number's there, so no excuses. This time I got the number out there for you. I ain't telling y'all to call with no number and talking shit about y'all. It's wide open, 832-639-DRIP, 832-639-3734 for those of you who have alphanumeric issues, and when you see numbers and letters together, you start struggling. So there, you got the number right there. Let's see. You say, man, who do you want to try and get at the? Says, who do you want to try and get at the deadline?
Brad Hand from San Diego.
Okay.
Well, I would have said Roberto Osuna, but he's like suspended from the league for domestic violence issues. So.
Damn. So is the MLB more proactive on the domestic violence issues as opposed to the NFL is starting to get there now. Now they don't give a damn. But
I mean, they'll suspend players. I mean, if you want to like put in, I guess, into understanding. I mean, they did suspend Yuli for the whole, flashing the Asian eyes thing.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it was just 5 games, but I mean, still.
yes, sensitivity training. Okay. So here's the deal. Like I say, we got the sauce line up, and any of y'all want to call, text. We'll wait a couple of minutes to see if anybody has any other thoughts. But again, like I say, it's just not too much going on. Actually, how excited are you for preseason?
I'm ready just to get it going. I'm just happy for football to be coming back.
Absolutely. So I don't know if we had ever got a chance to get your prediction. What do you think we're looking like this season? What is your prediction on the record?
I think I have us going 12-4. Okay. From my video, I did make a video about my prediction for the NFL season, and I think I got them 12-4, possibly 13-3, and worst case scenario 10-6. Okay. But I think I don't know. I think I have very high expectations on this Texans offense, and I think with Romeo Crennel, this team does look good. And I mean, my only real concern as far as possible losses was the Jaguars and the Patriots game and the Cowboys, and I think I also said the Broncos.
Okay. So what do you see as the biggest weakness on this Texans team, or is there anything that concerns you with the team that we got right now?
Offensive line and kicking.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't think any of us talked about that actually. Yeah. Because I mean, Fairbairn he looked good at the beginning, and then he just started missing kicks, and so yeah. I mean, I don't think we talked about I mean, when we did talk about special teams, we talked about the possible kick returners and possible guys that will come in for special teams, but I don't think we ever talked about the kicking side of it.
I don't think we have either. That's a very good point. We'd have to make sure to address that in the near future. Okay, here's a question on the text in on the sauce line. It says Chandler. He says, I got a question. Do you see any teams that want Ryan Anderson?
No.
Yeah,
no.
I wish. I pray at night, or I'm going to start praying at night, but I don't think it's going to happen.
To trade Ryan Anderson, we have to throw in something or some things for it. I mean, whether it be picks or somebody that we think is good. Yeah. Like it's going to be one of those things like, we'll give you this guy, but you have to take Ryan Anderson.
Yeah. And that's what I say, because I believe they said they tried to package a couple of firsts with him last year or something like that, and I mean he was still not really receiving any interest. Another name I've seen a lot of people talk about, and that's Jimmy Butler. What would you see the Rockets having to give up to try to make a trade for Jimmy Butler?
Oh, it's going to take more than Ryan Anderson, that's for sure. That one, I mean, that one's a little hard for me, but I think you're still going to have to give up some things. I mean, you might even say EG might be a possible guy to put up. I mean, it's going to, I think I would rather wait for Jimmy Butler when he goes into free agency than try to make a trade for him. Yeah. I know he's not happy right now with Minnesota, but I mean, I just don't think we have the assets to be making a deal for it.
Okay. So they're talking about fucking DeMarco Murray. I don't care about DeMarco Murray. Yeah. Here's the thing. Because what I believe that is EG's contract up next year, or is this his last year? I'm trying to. I think this season will be his last. Do you see him re-signing with the Rockets, or do you think he goes elsewhere to try to do his own thing?
I mean, shoot, that's hard for me. I think if he does stay, we had to at least put up something. But I think he wants to go and be a starter somewhere. And as long as we have Chris Paul, I don't think he'll be starting over him. Yeah. So that's the only thing. I don't think he's much about chasing a check. I think he's more about wanting to be a starter.
Yeah, I kind of get that same vibe from him too. I think he just wants to showcase his talents and be able to prove what he can do. So much of Billy Club Rhino's knees so we can injury settlement his ass. Well, y'all didn't hear that on Soft Sports, but if it happens, hey, hey, I'm not gonna complain. All right. Well, here's the deal, man. We're gonna call it a wrap-ski here. We're gonna wrap it up. Is there anything else? Is there anything that we might have missed, or anything that you kind of wanted to talk about that we may not have addressed before we get out of here?
There actually is another player in Houston that made an All-Star team that I think I should mention just because I am the soccer guy. Okay. Albert Feliz of the Houston Dynamo. He was actually I think he was a coach's pick to make the All-Star team. And I mean, the MLS does their All-Star games a little bit different. It's not East versus West thing. They actually create an All-Star team and they go up against a top team from Europe. So this year I think they're going up against Juventus from Italy. And so it's just a really big moment. I think it's big for Albert because the coach that picked him was Tata Martino, who has a really great resume as a coach in the soccer world because he used to coach the Argentina national team. Actually, the Argentina team that went to the World Cup last year, I think he was the coach for them. And then he also used to coach Barcelona, which is pretty huge club in the world of soccer. So I think it's huge to have a player like a coach like him to recognize Albert Feliz.
Okay, that's tough. So like historically, how has the MLS and their All-Star team, how have they fared against these European clubs?
I know they've beaten Chelsea before, which is a team from London. I think last year they lost to Real Madrid, but I mean they put up a good show. And then I think, like Heidi said, it's some of the reserve players. They'll play the stars, but they won't play like them for a long period of time. It's not one of those games where you're only allowed to have 3 substitutes. It's going to be like you can pretty much substitute the whole team kind of thing. So it's not like a serious game or anything like that. It's just to get to see your team, your favorite player go up against a top tier soccer team.
Okay, cool beans, man. I believe that was Chandler might have called, and I might have missed your call. If you want to call back and ask a question, I'll still take your call there, Chandler. But
I'll go ahead and take my crow after me saying that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and LeBron were gonna go to the Lakers. Oh, man. I got one, but
hey, 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Like, hey, 33% is right. Yeah, like I had to take my. I said I thought that Paul George was going to go to the Lakers too, but he ended up re-signing with OKC, so I definitely had to eat some crow on that. But I did say I thought LeBron was going to end up going to the Lakers just because with his brand and everything that he had going, I felt like that was going to be the thing. And then I felt like James Harden wasn't the most welcoming teammate. He didn't really just say anything in the sense of, nah, fuck that dude. But he just basically say, hey, we happy with what we got. If Chris Paul was out there recruiting, I'm sure, that kind of sent his own vibes. And then, with him being the MVP, I think there would have just been a whole lot of something. I don't know exactly what to say. There would have been a lot of, maybe, I don't know if it'd be tension or it just seemed like there might have been some type of conflict. I definitely think that they would have been winning, but I don't know if it's LeBron's personality that I believe would have been the issue or what. Because, James Harden is well, actually, we saw a little bit of a change from him this year. Whenever him and CP3 kind of got into it on the sideline. But James is pretty laid back, fun loving kind of guy, and so I don't know how that would have worked, necessarily with LeBron. But I'm sure LeBron likes to have fun too. But I think it's just a little bit of a different thing. And somebody else talking, Chandler says, I think the Patriots O-line would be different. I can see the Texans just destroying the pass. I think there are a couple of factors with the Patriots. I think they took a couple of losses in the O-line department. They lost a couple of receivers. So I think it's going to take a second. Because, a lot of times the Patriots start off slow and then everybody thinks the world is falling down and caving in for the Patriots, and then by the end of the season, you know, they're back in #1 in the power rankings and everything else, and then, you know, everybody's back on dicks. But I think that first game, I feel like there's a few
put the refs also in consideration on that one. So, I mean, the refs always make some weird calls and weird fouls, and I'm just like, yeah, it's New England.
Yeah, that is something about that. You do have to take that into account. But like I say, with that being said, man, we're gonna call it a wrap. We'll be in the Cush Den at 9 o'clock this evening. We'll be talking about social hierarchies and, you know, how that affects our lives here in America and the world abroad, and on many different levels. So make sure you guys are a part of that. Let me see. Outside of that, I believe that's all. Let me make sure and let me put the link in there. So you guys go and check out Hector's channel, man. Let me put the link back in. If you're not subscribed, you need to go and subscribe immediately. Puts out some great content. And then, like I said, because y'all definitely aren't getting enough Astros here. And I'm definitely, if it was a vitamin, we'd be Astros deficient. So, like I said, if you need to get your Astros love, your Dynamo love, your soccer and World Cup talk, man, you definitely have to go and check out Hector. And I'm going to put the link in here so you guys can have it. I need to have it saved instead of having to pull up this doggone thing every time. Where is it at? Right here, okay. And I want to say shout out to the rest of Sauce Sports, the round table, and everybody.
No, Heidi, I don't like the Doyers. I have family that are Doyers fans, though.
And he dropped this in the chat, and there we go. There's a link to Hector's stream, so make sure y'all check that out. Go sub right now, immediately. That's your homework. That is your work. And like I say, with that being said, man, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I want to say shout out to Hector for coming through, man, and spread some love. Definitely informing me and the rest of Sauce Nation on some things that we definitely don't get to talk about a lot. So I say thank you for that, and I say thank you for all of y'all because, again, like I say, time is a extremely valuable asset because the only thing in life that you cannot recoup, and the fact that you guys take the time to come and fuck with Sauce Sports, the Sauce Sports Roundtable, all the Sauce affiliates, you know, and just intermingling with each other, man. I appreciate that. And so with that being said, I want to say thank y'all. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. And we're going to chunk up a deuce, and we out.